And so, uh, talk about more of that stuff. Um, so, context for my affair, more stuff. Um, all right, so the person who I had an affair with, her name is Laura. I've already said that. Laura was somebody. It probably still is somebody. During my affair, she actually. So because we connected on a lot of levels, um, we connected over occultism, we connected over tarot, astrology, a whole lot of different things. Um, she was married, she was getting married, or she was newly married. She was about to get married to the person that she was with. And part of that affair for her was at one point she mentioned to me that she wanted a hot occultist boyfriend in context of what she was identifying me as during that affair. And when she said that to me, that's when I started wondering if she was truly happy or if she was truly going to be happy with the person that she was with. And it was my first indicator that there may have been some sort of. It was my first indicator, at least in terms of like the context of that affair, that was beyond, well, this is an affair and it's also an affair that might have some other stuff that's going on. I see a bunch of Subarus driving by. I'm not really sure why that is, unless it's about the fact that I'm standing at the library doing this. Well, sure, but the reason why I'm doing that is because this is where I choose to be, not because I can't be around people when I speak about this. This is where I choose to be. Has nothing to do with, I'm not going to get into that. People draw their own conclusions, and I don't really care about that. But anyways, so during this affair, she said that to me, and that was my first indicator, like I said, that it was beyond an affair for her, that was just, well, we're connecting. We've connected as two people who we just feel this, and it's also, we have a lot of common interests and everything, and we're just, that was my first indication that there may have been something else going on for her. And there's a specific reason why I'm mentioning that, but I'm going to fast forward a bit to the part where I was getting divorced, and seemingly, I had reached, after I cut the affair off after like 3 or 4 months, I told myself that I wouldn't speak to Laura ever again because I was devoted to my marriage. And it wasn't the easiest thing for me because I at least wanted to, some information was divulged to me about her safety and wellness, in the context of some of her past, and that was hard to live with in terms of I wanted to at least know that she was safe and okay because she had been abused by somebody pretty bad. When she told me that, and she told me that this person was actively trying to be part of her life again, I knew that I still had to say goodbye because I was devoted to my marriage. But at the same time, at one point during my affair, I actually told Laura how I felt about her. And it was genuine. And it was also part of why I knew that I had to cut the affair off for myself and for my marriage. I felt really bad about that after a certain point. Like after maybe a couple of days after I had said it, I felt really bad about the fact that I had developed feelings for somebody outside of my marriage to that extent. And that's when I realized that no matter what else was going on for Laura in that affair, that I had to cut it off too, for my own marriage, for my own self, because it just felt wrong. I mean, I knew it was wrong, and then it felt really wrong really fast. After I realized that, I said how I felt, and then and it was genuine, and so, but this one's going to be a little bit scattered, I guess, but I just need to get it all out. There was also part of that affair where, I'll put this. Because of how well we spoke together, because of how well we were together, because of our common interests, because of everything beyond the attraction physically, beyond everything else, I also left the server that we had found each other in entirely, which was tough for me because I actually really enjoyed being part of that community. I made a lot of friends. It was actually really important for me in the context of my life before that affair took place, but I wanted to make sure that I was completely done with it, and I left. But in the context of Laura appearing in my life again, when I thought that my wife at the time was having her own affair outside of it just being like this thing on the phone or on the internet or whatever, and that she actually physically was cheating on me with the person, Mike, somebody that I've already spoken about. Mike is actually somebody who my ex-wife Heather was engaged to at one point before she had met me, and then they broke it off. We were married for 5 years, together for 10 years, and then seemingly he found his way back into her life in a way that I didn't understand for a long time. And after a while, I suspected that it was an ongoing affair in a physical sense that I just couldn't figure out. And it was heartbreaking. I was absolutely devastated. And I felt like I had nobody to turn to at that time in my life to actually talk about how much pain I was really in. And this was several years after I had called it quits on my own affair and hadn't spoken to Laura at all. I reached out to Laura because I thought, and I felt like she was probably the only person in my life who would understand me, who would understand what I was going through, just contextually, because we had our own affair together, and I was in a ton of pain. I really was. It hurt so bad, but it was also that I was really scared for Heather's life, and I was trying to sort that out, but I didn't say that to Laura because I didn't have any way of proving it at the time to anybody. It was just a feeling that I had. And so I reached out looking for emotional support, and it was something that was tough. I just didn't know where to turn, and I felt like my wife at the time was on her way out, but I didn't know for sure. We spoke briefly once, and then I didn't speak to her again after that. I just told her what was going on. I told her how it made me feel. She was supportive as well as she could have been, and then I left again. And I was back to, well, I'm not going to speak to you anymore, but thank you for, I didn't say it, but I said, to myself, I'm not going to speak to you anymore, but thank you for supporting me through this. Or at least that's how I felt. And then I left. And it was hard for me again because I had questions for her just about her personal life. If I was grateful to see that she was okay and safe, after she told me that she was pretty terribly abused by somebody who was then trying to enter her life again several years before, as I was breaking off the affair. It was great to see that she was still safe and well and okay. And then I left. And then, I devoted everything I could to trying to fix my marriage and keep my wife safe from somebody that was not a good dude, like at all, at least in the context of his intentions with her and me in our marriage. And then, like a year or two passed, or a decent amount of time passed, where my wife and I were trying really hard to fix everything, and it just didn't go that way, despite the fact that we tried really hard. And so eventually I recognized a pair of sunglasses that appeared in my house that looked exactly like the pair of sunglasses that Laura had sent a picture of herself wearing to me during our affair. And they were sunglasses that I knew Heather would never buy, or she never expressed interest in that style. And it was just so strange to me. And at that point, I figured that there was so much other stuff going on in my life that Heather wasn't telling me about, and just weird stuff happening in the house, and she would say weird stuff. And so, eventually, I just said, "Hey, I know that you are speaking to Laura." And at that point, I had already told Heather about my affair. I'm fairly certain. Yeah, I did. And it was really hard for me to tell her. I didn't want to hurt her. It was really, really hard to tell her. I was a mess when I told her that I had an affair, and some of the details about it. But when Laura showed up in my house via sunglasses, and then after that, I spoke to my wife again about Laura, maybe 4 weeks later, and her entire disposition shifted about the subject. That's when I was wondering if Laura was in my life and speaking to my wife behind my back and was indicating to her that she was interested in pursuing me while I was still married to Heather. And the reason why I was wondering that was because of the context in that affair, in which she said that she wanted a hot occultist boyfriend. I was wondering if she was still that way, and that she was trying to, and that she was interested in pushing boundaries again. Wasn't certain, but that's why for a while I was trying to figure her out. And then after my divorce, I directly spoke to her, Laura, and I effectively messaged to her some of what I thought she got out of that affair to her, in that I effectively I was pushing her boundaries about being with her despite the fact that she was married still, to see what she would say, because I wasn't certain if she was still seeking something like that again, or if she was still seeking that again. And I was trying to figure out why my ex-wife, who I genuinely divorced and didn't want to lose, suddenly had that disposition change as much as it did in front of me, like it did within the context of a couple of weeks. I'm going to upload this here in 40 seconds and then keep talking. But at the same time, when I was speaking to Laura after my divorce, it was actually nice to speak to her, at least in some way, and to say hello. But I was still really sad about my divorce, and I was still going through a lot, and it was really difficult for me. So I'm going to upload this and then get back to talking about more there.